concussive shells first for that defensive advantage. So we're going to see Mana probably be aggressive off of his 3 gateways very, very quickly, as he already has Warp Gate, a Proxy Pylon in play, and he's getting more sentries. He's going to actually break down the destructible debris and maybe be going for something sneaky.
And I love this map for that ability where you can go into the third. So oftentimes on Terminus RE, you can't do that. You'd have to either like blink down or try to elevate yourself down. But now with that, you know, you've got to be fully aware of that. And I think Goody is now gonna. Oh well, now I got to put a supply depot over there because that is a very real possibility.
Yeah, now Mana's going to press the front. He's starting to attack the front bunker. There are no SCVs here to repair, so Mana's going to start busting forward. But there are a lot of Marines and Marauders here. SCVs are being pulled, and Mana is doing some nice bit of micro to keep all of his units alive. He can continue reinforcing, so he's warping in more stalkers in the back, coming forward, but he's got to be careful to keep these sentries alive. They take a lot of damage from SCVs, surprisingly.
Yeah, they took a good amount of damage. He only really lost one in that full engagement so far, and he's still microing them back. So very, very good job at that. Yeah, I'm right there with you. He's got to protect those sentries. They've got to keep getting that energy up. That way they can, you know, put up the guardian shields, force field a lot. We just saw some epic force fielding there by Mana right through there. But Goody does hold everything off. Now he's got a couple of SCVs there throwing down yet another bunker and good for repairs in there. So, you know, now he's going to go down and now he's going to put that supply depot somewhere near that vent so we can check to make sure that nothing's going to be coming in on the back door.
Yeah, and now it's that SCV's literally just sitting there next to the debris, waiting around. But now, just note that Mana did all that aggression off of 3 gateways only. It wasn't a 5-gate attack. It wasn't an all-in gateway push, which honestly might have been able to win considering the damage Goody took. You can see that Goody lost 5 SCVs during that battle. Not exactly enough to really make Mana feel like he's ahead, but enough to make Mana feel a little bit more comfortable that he's not just so far behind economically.
Right, and that is a good spot for him to be in, you know, honestly, because you know he felt a little pushed from the first go around, and you know now that he's you know, because he didn't get his second down fast enough, so you know, with him just taking that little inch of a lead, you know, the confidence is there now, and that's all that you really need. Just have a little bit of confidence, just so you can go out there and harass just a little bit more. Because once you start feeling behind, it's kind of that quicksand effect where you just feel like you're gonna have to all in at some point. And you're just gonna be so far behind, but it looks like they feel pretty comfortable because now Goody starts to assemble a little bit of a force and is gonna start to move out. He didn't scout around to find those forward pylons, which could hurt him because he could wind up getting boxed in between Mana's forces.
Yeah, and Goody's running forward. His medevacts are weirdly separated from his army as he's starting to press forward, but Mana's trying to take his third. And with Mana getting this Colossus tech out, he's a little bit vulnerable while he's also going for these upgrades. He's investing a lot in non-units right now, so Goody is going to be pretty aggressive with this double drop that's actually moving down to probably hit Mana inside the main base during this little tiny part of his base where you can't really get vision of. Goody's playing it very safe though and running around trying to be as out of the way as possible. It's good, just plain map knowledge of the army movements that you should be using to be effective.
Yeah, and now we see that observer now kind of hanging out above the Zonaga tower, getting a good view of everything, seeing that little force is coming in. He doesn't know that drop's coming until now that he's got those pylons back there. Smart play here. He could definitely do a significant amount of damage here to Mana, but at the same time, I think Goody's probably going to lose these forces now that the Colossus has joined him here by the mineral line.
Yeah, and I think you're slightly ahead of me as these guys are moving forward. Yep, the Colossus is just now joining. We have cells being warped in. Right now I'm at 12:03 for the clock as this drop is even cleaned up, but without that much anti-air, the medevacs, the expensive units, will be saved, and that's really, really important. I think my computer's being slow because I've been running and streaming for the last 20 million years, so keep an eye on that. But the counter actually is a double-pronged attack from Goody, hitting the natural expansion as well, killing 10 probes from Mana in that second engagement that was happening on the map, which is seriously important. Goody already had that fast command center, but the third base from Mana's could be the real difference maker. Goody may now be feeling that he's farther ahead in economy, and they could backfire for him unless he gets up a third command center of his own fairly soon.
Yeah, and without him being able to scout that third, I'm right there with you. He definitely feels that sense of aheadness now that even though he wiped out all those drones, but now it looks like he went back for another drop there, back in the main, throws down a couple of Marines and a Marauder right there, trying to do what they can. Takes out a Stalker, maybe one or two probes, but not much more than that. But Mana still did a really good crisis management, moved those two move that Colossus in. From the front, along with some of the stalkers and things like that. So those multi-pronged attacks are exactly what you need. But now Goody's going for a drop now in the third.
Yeah, and this Nexus is looking very vulnerable, but it looks like Goody will retreat, losing almost nothing. Maybe just one Marauder or two Marines did go down, but Goody's now taking a fair amount of economic damage to Mana, and Mana, he's having to deal with Goody, and something to note is the fact that Goody's not going mech. Goody's a hugely infamous mech player because he just loves its style so much, but just notice he's not doing against Toss. He's doing a heavy drop style, heavy Marauders, big beefy units still, even with the bio play. He's got Vikings on the field doing some good strong tactics, and now he's getting out that third base and going to go ahead and be able to get even more units out for this.
Yeah, and I really like this play by Goody. He's responding very well with a good chunk of Marauders. He's got a decent amount of Marines just to add into the DPS and to kind of take a little bit more of the pressure off the Marauders. But with that good fleet of Vikings and Medivacs, he's gonna be able to keep everything nice and healed and really put pressure on those Colossi.
Yeah, and this will be seriously important. If that Colossi count stays high, his army will die. Cool, that rhymed, but now we have the engagement happening. We have Goody moving forward. There are a few force fields doing almost nothing, but Stalkers are trying to whittle down the health on those Vikings, but the Colossi count is still at 3. A nice bit of damage. The Zealots are moving in. Goody is losing his army quickly. It doesn't even matter that the Vikings are hitting the Colossus. 2 are still alive, and Mana has so much army left over. Goody's still fairly high in the food count, but Goody is just didn't kite those Marauders the way he should have.
Yeah, he definitely needed to move them back just a little bit to kind of pull some of the focus back on ones that had a little bit higher, and that's really just a simple microwave. But I think he just had so much to deal with at that point. It's just one of those things you kind of get caught up in the moment, and that's kind of the way it feels. But it looks like he's going to go for a 7-point drop now as he's trying to send it through his main.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Mana's massing outside of the Goody's third, pushing forward. That same proxy pylon is still alive. We have Archons forming at the moment. Do we even have? We do not have Psystorm even started yet, though. But still, Archons beefy unit is going to be really good. Goody's going to go ahead and go for this drop during this attack, and right now, Goody's even forced to cancel it, command, and try and save what he can.
Yeah, very, very smart play here. Trying to make that army pause for just a second, just to give him a little bit more time. But we see that Mana already warps in a Zealot, a High Templar, and of course the Stalker, taking out the Medivac. There's no way that these Marines are going to be able to get away. That one Zealot tearing up a couple of them, but unfortunately, the High Templar just does not seem to have enough energy to really do anything. He feed back the Medivac, but he has no real natural attack, and he just get eaten alive. So it's very smart for him to just kind of pull that unit back just a little bit.
Yeah, so now Goody's Marauders, everything got a little bit of attack at the front, but these Marines are still back here dealing damage. Almost no probes are left. They're so strong. Goody does have 1-1 upgrades, which is a little bit behind Mana's 2-2. Mana's working against +3 armor, and Goody is just, I honestly think that his bio play is just not nearly as good as mech play, just a lot less refined is what I'm seeing right now. TVP's got to be his worst matchup because his TVC is just so strong, and TVT is, you can play that with mech, and therefore Goody's got to be good at it.
Yeah, and Goody's gonna go ahead and throw down. He's got the Ghost Academy out now, churning out 3 ghosts, trying to deal a little bit more damage by taking out the shield, so we can just try to whittle those forces down, because it's really becoming a little bit more of attrition. He's got those big bulky Marauders, but at the same time, those Archons and those Zealots are just being able to tank and deal so much damage that he just can't deal with it. So he's got to pull back, and I think he's taking needless losses at that. And once the storm finishes here in just a few seconds, that's really going to put a huge crutch on Goody, where he's going to have to figure out a way to reply to it.
Yeah, now Mana, right now at 1910, Mana just threw down 4 more gateways, so he's really going to be able to get the income from this fourth base up and be able to produce really well. I mean, Mana right now is very highly ranked in the GM on Europe. He's one of the best players in mouse sports. Some people call him the best toss in Europe, and it's kind of showing. I mean, GoOdy, granted, he may not be as refined with his play, but he's still an incredibly high-level pro gamer, incredibly skillful, and Mana is just able to out-macro him, it seems, even with GoOdy having such a faster expansion and delaying Mana's expansion and everything.
Right, and just doing those little things can sometimes set your army up for a very good victory here. As long as you can keep that economy down, as long as you can keep that army stationary, not moving around the map, not preventing you from doing what you need to do. So it's just one of those things that GoOdy has just kind of backed himself up in to his own base. He hasn't tried to do any more drops. He hasn't tried to get any more map control. He's kind of happy being in this back area right now, and that's not great because Mana's just going to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, but the big thing is that GoOdy's not upgrading. He's still at 1-1, 20 minutes into the game. Mana's now at +3 army. He can just continue warping in Zealots, and he might just end up beating GoOdy with just that kind of... Oh, GoOdy's not leaving the side storm, losing half the health on a ton of those Marauders. And there's, more and more storms are landing. This is looking to be pretty bad. GoOdy's units are so far in the red. Charles can go in and get almost one-shot kills. GoOdy's trying to pull back the injured Marauders, keep the healthy ones in the front, but now the Colossus are coming in. The proxy pylons that's been there since the beginning of the game is going to force GoOdy to call GG as he proceeds to lose every single one of his units.
Oh yeah, phenomenal gameplay there by Mana. Really put GoOdy on the defensive, and then even though GoOdy tried to bring himself out by doing the drops and really taking an economic damage to Mana. Mana just had, with the upgrades, with the army movements, he definitely came out on top. Ending at 187-60. That was just a huge landslide victory there for Mana.
Yeah, I mean, there's such solid aspects of both players' play. Right now, I just looked at quickly the unit station, and there were 76 probes to 44 SCVs at the end of that game, with both of the players killing essentially the even amount of workers. And that just means that Mana was able to continue producing workers, even in the face of taking huge harassment, and allowing him to out-macro GoOdy so efficiently. Fourth base was up. GoOdy just... I'm kind of interested to see what would happen if he had gone mech, even though mech is supposedly worse against Protoss. GoOdy's comfortability with it might be enough, and his awareness with how to position mech might be enough to give himself a better run for the winner spot in this match.
Right, I'm completely agree with you there.
So, say thank you all for watching. You have any parting words, Red Mage?
No, thank you very much for having me, Xander. It's absolutely amazing. Make sure to follow Xander Fever SC on Twitch, here on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and JTV.
Appreciate that. Go to itsgoody.com. Do you stream, Red Mage?
I'm actually going to start streaming next week.
All right. Well, when he starts streaming, follow him there. And support itsgoody.com. Bring up the Marine, the Torch Marine, and just show some love. Yeah. I'm going to bed now.
That's right. Now it's nappy time. All right.